Well, my salesman keeps telling me that it has to be now. I sure don't want to buy one though. You're somewhere around $500,000. So you don't want to spray herbicide or insecticides in a windy day. I want to say that the hub's about $8,000. So hey, welcome to our YouTube. Today we're going to put down a little nitrogen with a sprayer. We'll talk about it a little bit and join us. So this is a R4030. It's a 2017 model. I think it's got somewhere close to 6,000 hours on it now, so quite the hour load. It stays busy, works around here almost every single day in the season, and been a great sprayer so far. Very little downtime. But purchased it new in 2017, and usually, you know, we'll trade sprayers every 2 or 3 years, but with we had some other needs over the course of a time. We needed a combine and needed a planter, and so this is taking the back seat, and it's been having a good service record so far, so, you know, just haven't updated it up to this point. I think at the time the sprayer was like $375,000, and I think today, if you had a similar sprayer, you know, you're somewhere around $500,000. So it's they were pricey then, they're really pricey now. It sprays. The only thing that that it doesn't spray for us is our tasseling corn. We hire helicopters to spray, but other than that, it takes care of our wheat crop, our corn crop, and our soybean crop. The helicopters come to spray the tasseling corn, so whenever the corn is tasseling or post-tassel, they call it brown silk. After it's done its pollination and it's starting to go into grain fill, we put a fungicide on it, prevents tar spot, gray leaf spot, southern rust, all the things that you'd rather not see coming to your corn crop. So the sprayer, I mean, we mostly use herbicides in it. Occasionally, if we have a worm problem, we use an insecticide, but predominantly it's just a herbicide sprayer. So that it mainly manages the weeds in our field. That's its main purpose. So it's got a 3-inch front load, and that way the sprayer can nose into the truck, and you hook your fill line from your truck and load your chemical tank from this front line. And then we've got a 100-foot boom set up on it, and today Zach's installing Schaefer stream bars, and it distributes the nitrogen across the entire bar evenly. They do a really good job, and the benefit you get with a stream bar versus there's 2 ways you can apply nitrogen, or there's more than 2, but the 2 most popular are a stream bar like what we're putting on here today, or a cap. And the cap goes across all the nozzles, and it has like 3 or 5 holes, and it kind of streams the nitrogen in kind of like a wide pattern, versus the bar distributes the nitrogen across the length of the bar. And with the stream bars, it doesn't matter if the boom is low or high, it applicates evenly, versus the cap, it needs to be a certain height, maybe like 40 inches, to distribute the nitrogen evenly. So a really good applicator can use the cap effectively, but a bar gives you a lot more operator error ability, so the operator doesn't have to pay as close of attention to distribute the nitrogen evenly across the field. We like them. So yeah, so get one off here. So Schaefer makes these, and there's a sliding orifice in there, so as you're wanting to apply more product, you can open the orifice up, or if you want to apply less, you can close the orifice down. We're putting on about 15, 16 gallons of nitrogen, so about halfway open is and you just have to play with it to get your right pressure on your pump, depending on your ground speed. Yeah, so right now we're paying somewhere around $350 a ton for nitrogen. And, you know, like, let's see, we'd be putting, I don't know, 800 gallon on there. And that's, so it'd be, you'd have about 4 ton on the sprayer, something like that. So, I don't know, you do the math. $1,200 or a little more per tank load, something like that. So the way we've got it set up today, we'll do about 50 acres a load with the nitrogen, and trying to get 120, 130 total units on wheat. You know, to get where we need to be fertility wise to get the yield we're looking for. Yeah. So this year we've just got about 1,000 acres of wheat. So not a huge wheat crop this time. Well, you want your wheat actively growing when our warm weather comes. So you just kind of, you kind of watch the weather, and when the weather begins to warm up, the wheat starts to come out of dormancy, looking for, nights above 50 degrees strung together. So you get 3, 4, 5 nights above 50. The wheat's starting to come out of dormancy. It's going to need some fertilizer. That's when we try to get out there on it. So the monitor in the sprayer, you can set all your pressures and your rates and everything from that. And every chemical that you spray has a different amount of water that needs to be put with the product. And so you just basically, learn about your chemical through the label on the product, and then you just set your monitor up accordingly for the product. Like with something like Gramoxone or Liberty or something like that, where you're trying to get a leaf burn on the weed, you'd apply lots of water, versus something like Roundup, where you're just trying to get it's a systemic herbicide, where if it lands on the plant, it's going to try to go to the root to kill the plant. It doesn't need as much water, so maybe 10 gallons an acre. You're not trying to get a leaf burn off the product. So every product is different, needs a different amount of water carried with it. So yeah, wind, you don't want to spray herbicide or insecticides in a windy day. You can't evenly apply it. Of course, the wind's going to take part of your product away. You do want some wind, because otherwise you'll get some volatility in the air, like warm and cool air change places if the wind is not blowing at all. So not too much wind, but you don't want no wind either. You kind of want that 5 to 10 mile an hour. That's almost perfect to run the sprayer. Okay, so is today like too windy? Today is too windy to spray. For nitrogen, if we get a little blow and the nitrogen droplets weigh so much they're not going to blow off your field. You'll get a little more leaf burn on the wheat with the nitrogen, but what we find is it doesn't affect the wheat that much. A little burn's not going to hurt it too bad, and we'll go ahead and apply nitrogen on a day like today. On this sprayer, the things that we found is keep your hub oil changed. The sprayer runs a lot. Those hubs are, they're very expensive. They have a lot of life in them if you keep the oil changed in them. We've never had trouble with ours, just because we'll change it a couple times a season. Yeah, so on this machine, these are your hubs, and your hydrostat's driving these hubs, and you'll have gears in here, and that's a heavy oil bath that it keeps those gears lubricated. And these things will get very hot you know, moving through the field. And if you don't keep the oil change in them, it'll burn those gears out. And I want to say that the hub's about $8,000, so you want to keep them in top shape. The most expensive fix on here, of course, would be an engine failure or a hydrostat failure. Either one of those things are, you know, you'd probably have $30,000 in an engine. And a hydrostat, when one of them grenades, it just puts all kinds of metal in your system. And then the problem is ever getting another hydrostat to hold. So you don't want to see a hydrostat grenade. I mean, you can't really prevent that from happening other than keep your filters changed, keep fresh hydraulic fluid in it, and don't try to push it too hard. We typically spray 10 to 15 miles an hour depending on the terrain.
Okay.
The sprayer is capable of spraying up close to 20, but in our topography, it's pretty difficult to get those kind of speeds consistently. Okay. So we use our floater tires for burn down applications before the crop is in the field, and then applying fertilizer to our wheat early in the season when the ground's still a little soft. And then once we go in crop with the applications, we go with the skinny tires, and that way Zach can go down the corn rows. And then on the bean fields, we just cross the bean fields and don't worry, we just knock some beans down. So just running the same tracks, you know, 4 or 5 times in a season. The skinny tires will be, you know, will be 17, 18 inches wide, and they'll fit inside of a 30-inch row pretty easily. Yeah, there's some people that don't run floaters, you know, they just don't, you know, don't see the justification of having an extra set of tires for it. But we run over enough of ground early in the season that we can, you know, we can justify the floaters being on there. I don't like bumping my planter into the wheat fields in ruts, so
yeah,
I'd rather have the floater on there. And you're still going to have a cleat in your field, in your wheat field that the planter has to cross, but it's not a rut like the little skinny tire would leave.
Okay.
Making me unhappy in my planter seat. I always take a longer boom.
Okay.
I take they make 130 on a. You'd have to get a little bigger sprayer, but bigger tank, bigger boom. You can never go wrong with bigger. Bigger is better. Well, my salesman keeps telling me that it has to be now, and you know he thinks that the sprayer doesn't have a lot of life in it, just based off the number of acres and hours that it's ran. But I don't know. We hope to run it another season or two. It's probably one of the next, you know, the next time we buy a new piece on here, it'll probably be a sprayer. So I sure don't want to buy one though. Yeah, so this is your joystick. It just controls this is your entire boom rack, so it'll lift your entire rack up and down. These are your individual booms, so if you want to tip your left or right tips up or down, your gear shifter is here, and then this cuts each section off across the bar. So you have 8 sections, isn't that right? 9 sections, and this shuts the sections off across the bar. So if you're coming into a waterway or whatever, you can cut them off manually. The sprayer will actually cut them off itself based upon what you've already applied in the field. But in the case that you wanted to run it manually, this is what that would do. This is your basic, on this machine, you're either full idle or you're completely on low idle. You're supposed to operate either one or the other. So all the way fired up is operating in the field. All the way down is just idling, waiting, loading at the truck or whatever.
They really got the turtle and the bunny buttons.
Yeah, the turtle and the bunny. So you're either fully fired or you're fully slow. And then your product pump. These are your rates. So like if you had a field that you wanted to, like you were maybe applying 10 gallons in this field and you wanted to change rates, you'd just flip your little dial and you can kick your rate up to 15 gallons. Sweet. Or if you wanted to apply 30 gallons. And you know, if you wanted to change any of these, you'd just go in and then you could set your rate to whatever you wanted it to apply.
Okay. So what are all the like A, B, C, D buttons over there
So
for?
these are nothing.
Nothing?
Just spare buttons. They use these controls in the tractors, the sprayers, and the combines. So in each machine, they got a little bit different setup, but they're basically the same. Basically the same consoles, and they just use them for different applications. So Zach likes to collect Indian artifacts when he's in the field. He sees them, and when he's driving across them, he'll stop and pick them up. And that's just what he's picked up from this season so far. So he's been in the field quite a bit already. We'll usually, the sprayer will start somewhere in February, and it'll run all the way through to October. So it's a busy machine. It runs pretty much every day that it's dry enough, and most all, you know, like it puts in lots of 10-hour days during the season. So 10, 12, 15 hours. It's a pretty common day for it. And it operates every day it's dry enough, nearly.
Okay.
And it's not too windy. So
Sweet.
probably the busiest machine on the farm. Thanks for watching our YouTube. I hope you enjoyed our tutorial on the sprayer, and tune in next time.